All right, good morning, guys. Good morning, welcome to the channel. um I'm sorry that y'all always find me driving, but I drop off kids in the morning, and once they're gone, it just feels like this is kind of the best time to it's quiet. I don't have to worry about people screaming, so this is kind of a good time for me just to get it out. I haven't had much time as I thought I would have. I'm homeschooling, I'm running the daycare, I'm running back and forth to the school, so I have a lot of entities playing a part of me making these videos. At nighttime, I even have nighttime students. My kids have different things going on that we have to drop them off to rehearsals and stuff like that. So your girl is busy, okay? But nevertheless, I'm going to go ahead and make this video today. So I want to talk about how I actually, the other one was kind of an introduction video. This one will be kind of a how I got started, basically, and what made me start my in-home daycare. So what made me start my in-home daycare was I was working for a daycare. I really wasn't making much money. This was back in 2021. I was probably bringing home $1,600 a month. At that daycare, I think I was only getting paid $11 or something, $11.50. Even though I've been in childcare for over 18 years, I was only making like $11.50. It was really enough. And we had just bought a home. The Lord provided us to where we could just buy a home. Also, I was into other stuff like making T-shirts, taking pictures, learning how to do photography. So I basically learned how to do these things as a way to bring in some extra income, doing hair on the side. But those were never my main goals. Those were things to help me to get to where I needed to be at. So I thought things that I could do right now, things that I could learn right now. So I learned how to do T-shirts. I learned how to do photography. I learned how to do hair even when I was younger. But those were never my main passion. My main passion has always been kids. So I always worked at a daycare, and I did those other things on the side to try to help me to get to where I was trying to get to. There was one time in my life that me and a couple of friends were going to try to start a daycare, but I was renting from a home, and we were going to try to do that at our house. And then once we got everything in there, we got turned down by the landlord. So I didn't know I needed to check with him first, and when I did, he did not want a daycare in his home. So that was years ago, before I actually got my daycare. And then so God provided me and my family our first home in a smaller town than the city. It was like a smaller town, so they provided, he allowed us to get our first home. I switched jobs to a job that was closer to that home, which I took a pay cut to go to that job, but it was closer to my house. It was more feasible. And at that daycare, I saw all types of things. I saw kids being mistreated. I saw ratios being over ratios. They were working the teachers like a dog. Like in the mornings, I would come in and I had to take over a class, and it would be like 30 kids, mixed age group, even from infants. Like me and myself, I had to call licensing on them as a teacher there. I had to call licensing on them more than one time. And it basically, just the things that I saw there, I was like, I can't work here. And I met someone in my town that helped me actually. She had a daycare before COVID, so we met on Facebook or whatever. When I started thinking about the idea, we met on Facebook in the Facebook group, and she literally walked me through the whole process. She walked me through everything. She gave me things that she used to have for her daycare. She provided me with her handbook, and which is different things that gave me a head start, that I didn't have to come up with things on my own because it was already right in front of me, and I just had to change it to my name. And I kind of got a relationship with the licensing lady. I kind of gained a relationship with her coming out to the daycare so many times. We kind of gained a relationship with her, so she knew that I was getting ready to start it too, and she was rooting for me as well to go get my own thing. So as I was preparing my own thing, I was still on the job, and I was learning from them. Honestly, I was learning from how they do things. I was looking at the paperwork and looking at this and that. So on my lunch break, instead of taking a lunch break, I would be working on my own business, and how to do it. So I went through the whole process of getting licensed, and I started as a register home because I didn't have the educational background to be a director. So I started as a register home, which in Texas, a register home can have 6 kids under 5, and then you can have after schoolers, which is 6 over 5. that you can have for after schoolers in Texas. That's the law here. So I started. I did not have. I had some high school. I had some college credits, but I didn't have a full thing to make me a director. So I was like, okay, I'll start here. So I started with 6 kids as a registered home, and honestly, I would say it took me about a month and a half. After a month and a half, I had my permit to be a registered home. After a month and a half, I stayed on the job a little bit as I started advertising, and then something happened, and I just like, I can't stay here any longer. There was a change in ownership. They were trying to get me to stay there. People were trying to say, oh, well, owning your own thing is a little different. Parents don't respect your house, don't respect your place, and they were trying to talk me out of it, because they wanted me to stay working for them. So they were trying to start talking me out of it. So I ended up leaving. I had all my stuff already registered. Everything was in place. Now I just needed the students. So it was a summertime, and I got one student. I had one student for a little bit, and then my kids in the summer. And then I got another student, and my idea was I just want only 3-year-old, like 3 and up. I don't want younger than that. I took a 2-year-old little girl, but she was very smart. So I had 2 students for the summer plus my kids. And that's kind of how the summer went. We had to rely on my husband's income because 2 kids ain't paying nothing. So we had to rely on his income, and at the time it was not much. And he was questioning too, like, are you sure? Like, this is, because we struggled for that summer for a little bit with just 2 kids. But came August, things began to roll in. Came August, people begin to find out that their kids did not make it into pre-K. And the good thing about where we live at is that you have to qualify for pre-K. It's not everybody can go to pre-K out here. It's a smaller town, not enough space for everybody to be able to enter in pre-K. So that was a good advantage for me, because all these parents started looking for care now, and there were kids that were in pre-K or 3 years old. So we got full. Come August, we got full. We had 6 kids. So, and I rode with that. We rode with the 6 kids. My husband was doing his full-time job, and I was doing my daycare. And we had a little small room that I turned in that was supposed to be an office. We used that as the little daycare room, and then of course we ate in the kitchen area and stuff like that. And we used that as a little daycare room with the 6 kids. It was fine, It was a little small, but we made it work. So we had the 6 kids, and we just progressed from there. There are other steps that we did that I will kind of go over that in the next couple of videos. But we started with those 6 kids. Almost after a year, I was like, okay, I started doing CDA classes to try to get my CDA so that I can become licensed. I do not like writing, y'all. I do not like having to do essays and having to do this. And it was just, I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. Writing is not my strong suit, and then having to go take that test. So there are other ways that you can get licensed that I did not know of. I kind of knew of, but I thought that I didn't qualify for any of those things. But I went back at some point before that year was over. I went back and like, okay, what other way can I go besides just getting a CDA? Because I know that I want to get licensed so that I can take more kids. I've already mastered 6 kids. I'm used to being in the classroom with 15 kids, even 30 kids with 2 teachers, and being the lead teacher, so that I know that I can handle more than just 6 kids. And during that time, I think I was probably making like $4,000 something a month. Back then, my rates were definitely low. I think they were like $135. That was back then. But times are different now, and you required a little bit more money. So so I was like, okay, I gotta do something. I can't wait for this CPA thing to be done with. So I looked it up again and what the requirements was, and then I saw, oh wait, if you have a certain amount of training hours, you can qualify, plus the years of experience, you can qualify as a director. So it says you have to have at least 3 years of experience. I had 18. And it says you have to have, for Texas, it was saying, I think it said 75 clock hours. But you can turn your credits that you did in school into clock hours. So when I turned my credit into clock hours, I took a few credit hours of what I did for early child development, and they were able to turn those into clock hours, which took care of that. I have way more than 75 hours. But then you also have to have 30 hours in business. It was not easy. It was not hard for me to get 30 hours in business. I found a website. It was so easy for me to get that. So at that moment, I qualified to be a director. I didn't have to go any farther. I did the 30 business hours within 2 days, and I was done. I had everything I needed to qualify to be a director. If I had known this earlier, and if I had looked at the stuff earlier, I would have known, hey, I already have what it takes to be a director. I could have started off as being a director. So, you live and you learn. So now when I teach people what to do, I go through this route. If they don't have the educational background, we go through this route. How can we get you qualified as a director? So I had to redo things as a licensed daycare, and I didn't really have to change much because I already had my place set up as a licensed director. All my paperwork was already set up as someone who was licensed. So even my lady that came, she was like, I see you being licensed, not just registered. Like, she was like, I see you being a registered home. I even see you, I'm a licensed home. I even see you going into a daycare. When she first came, because I had everything perfect. Like, I didn't miss a beat. I had no citations, nothing. So all I had to do was refill out the paperwork to be a licensed director. I redid that. They came out, and they, everything was already the same. I didn't have to change much. I had to add maybe a few things into my policies and a few paperwork, and then that was it. So I became licensed after my first year. I became licensed my second year. And that's when things really started changing for us. I was able, so I'm going to save that part. And this is me giving you guys just the background of how I started. We will go back into the steps that it takes to get there. So we will go back to that after I give you guys kind of the whole story into where I am right now. That way you guys can see the vision, and you guys can see the growth that's happened over the last 3 to 4 years. You guys can see that, and you know that it is possible, but you do have to start somewhere, and you got to start small, but you can work your way up, and that you should set goals for yourself. Every single year I set a goal for myself and things that I want to achieve, and it wasn't small goals, it was big goals. Every year we increase. Every year something different was happening with the daycare. Even this past year we got a building. That's a big step up, like, that's a big step up from what we've been doing. So the building that we have, though, is not for daycare. It's for a private school. So definitely we'll get back with you guys on what happened after I became licensed, and then we'll just keep taking you through the journey, and then we'll go back and go through the steps that you guys need to take. All right, you guys have a blessed day. I gotta get in here and take these kids, the homeschool kids that I have. We are getting ready to go swimming this morning and to go work out this morning for them. That's their field trip for today, and then they'll come back and do their work. So I'll catch you guys later. I'm making it back to the house.